Yes, so welcome to my journey. This looks at how heart connects with our emotions and how the emotions affect the rest of the body, and then trying to make sense of these in the world around us. So how do we function with our feelings in the physical body to become a more spiritual aspect, and like the Eastern concepts included in there, to see if I could actually bring them all together, to integrate them so that we can all understand how it all fits in, because we always listen to philosophy on one aspect, but we don't ever recount it to our biological aspect. So first of all, I'm taking in the aura, and most of our emotions are divided into two, which is very dualistic, and in some ways this is misleading, because many emotions may be the result of something that's occurred out of love, such as grief, but here I'm just going to generalize. Please don't do any judgment on this. So the chakra, you can see on the left hand side we've got a blooming, energizing chakra, and on the other side it's been drained, and because it's a positive and a negative, you have there an expanding emotional side, connecting with your consciousness, but on the right hand side it's contracting, you're losing a little. Then there's also, you're becoming more unified with a healthy aura and heart connection. On the other side you're losing that separation with unity, and of course there is that love and fear aspect. And of course we have to include emojis in today's world. It's a sad thing that we connect with a lot of these little things, but we've got the positive aspects where we want to show compassion, we want to communicate our feelings for someone through online processes. Very hard to do with technical issues. And a lot of it is also community-minded, when we want to help people. When we're stuck on our laptops, what can we do? But we also have a lot of, the internet's very good way of dualistic, polarizing people into judgment, fear, anger, but also there's a lot of good out there for people who are empathizing with others online. Anyway, this first question that I came to asking was, where do I feel my feelings? And for me it was in the heart. But then I thought, well, I better ask around, see where people feel their feelings. And it was quite an interesting response. Quite a few people said in the head. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I asked another group of people, and they got in the gut, or a combination of the gut and the heart. I said, well, actually, even your shoulders take a lot of burden, and I know I've experienced that when the burden has been taken off. And I thought, why do I feel so much lighter? And then I realised that I no longer had a burden. And so I know the feelings obviously get filtered to the brain, where it analyses what it is that you're feeling. So where do we feel our feelings? Is it a combination of these things? Or is it something else again, like shoulders? It could be different aspects depending on what area of your body is susceptible to things like stress, anxieties. They're all different for each person. But what I've also learned is that we have three brains. Of course we have this one here, which interprets everything that we feel. But it's not only in our brain where we have the neurons. Neuroscience has shown that our heart and gut are also classed as brains. And 5 years ago, research showed that these 3 brains have complex networks and have their own individual functions. Each brain has their own dedicated nervous systems, with neurons that give them the ability to grow, flex, and react. They also have the powerful capabilities to receive and process, store the information, and access it again when needed. The following slides that I'll just go into these brains a little bit more, mostly briefly, so we can understand how they function and work together. So we'll start with the head brain. It's called the cephalic brain. It has 86 billion neurons, billions. They focus mainly on cognition, perception, communication, learning, and making sense of the myriad neurons connecting, transmitting information and making sense of our world. Your eyes, however, are directly connected to the brain through the optic nerve, having received impulses through the retina. Your creativity and conscious thoughts come from this brain, and that's usually from the right brain connects to the left brain, whereas the left brain connects to the right brain, to the right part of the body, and the left brain is the analysing, reasoning side, and the right brain, which affects our left part of the body, is also our creative, feeling side of the body. And of course there are other things. We're all different in our balance of what we use, especially with the male and the female brains. They're very different in the way they work. So I thought I'd just lighten you up a little bit with a bit of humour, if you don't mind. It's always good to have. So I've just got a YouTube video here. It went viral, so many of you have probably seen it, and it's called A Tale of Two Brains. There we go.
Women's brains and how they're very different from each other. Now, I want to start with men's brains. All right, now men's brains are very unique. Men's brains are made up of little boxes. Because nothing drives a woman more crazy or makes her feel more irritated than to witness a man doing nothing.
Isn't it lovely? It's quite true, isn't it? There was part of a lovely, I think it's a 4-hour-long talk that you can get on YouTube, and it's to help people with their marriages. So, I mean, that's a really good marriage counselling seminar to go to. Okay, let's now go into the next brain, which is the gut brain. And the gut brain is where you listen to your gut. It relates to your gut instincts. This has 100 million neurons, and it's thought to help with self-preservation and understanding your identity. In other words, who we are. And 95% of serotonin is produced in this area, known as a happy hormone. It helps us to decide on doing things like whether we should buy that car or walk down that dark alleyway, take that trip to a destination that could be a bit risky. That's where we take into account what our gut's telling us. And now we get into the subject matter, which is the heart brain, called the cardiac brain. It's termed the intelligent heart, and it only has 40,000 neurons compared with your billions in the head. But this does not mean it's any less important than the head. I'll go into that a lot more. In fact, Donna did yesterday. Your heart brain connects you to what you value in life, and more important, how you feel. It gives you the ability to sense the world through your emotions and feelings. It communicates with your head brain through electrical signals and chemicals such as hormones. Now, for instance, when you experience anger, your heart beats a lot faster, and this will release epinephrine into the brain, which gives a fight or flight response to the body. The head brain signals to the rest of the body to react by sweating, breathing faster, and even clenching jaws or fists. On the other hand, if you're experiencing joy, the heart experiences a consistent heartbeat, releasing dopamine, serotonin, and some oxytocins. Our brain receives these and responds with increased mental clarity, a feeling of self-assurance, and other positive responses. I'm not sure if you all recognise the face. It's Pat Armistead. She's her title is Joyologist. She's now living in Australia. Now with the heart, it's having a continuous process of releasing hormones and things to tell the brain what's happening. And you can therefore see how repetitive feelings cause health or harm to the heart or other organs. Now stress or anger will transmit continual responses to organs, which will then respond into chronic or severe situations that may require medical attention. Recent studies have shown some neural pathways going out and coming straight back to the heart. And that seems to act as a control to check how the brain signals have been activated as a response to what the heart sent it, so that the heart can make any adjustments and fine-tuning it a bit. I would say a bit like a thermostat, just checking to see things are going right. And interestingly, once again, we have male heart brains are also very different to female heart brains. So it's not just in the head. I think we all know that actually. And I won't go into the Heart Math Institute because Donna covered that very well. And how the heart does communicate in many ways to the rest of the body. And whilst the heart does not think like the head brain, our heart can send massive amounts of signals to the brain for it to think and respond. And that goes through, mainly through via the vagus nerve. Anyone here know what the vagus nerve is? Or anything about it? Yes, it's very little known. Oh, it's amazing what it can do. Anyway, I'll go into that a little bit too. So the heart secretes hormones into the bloodstream, sending messages to the brain and every other organ in the body. It also acts with the endocrine gland, producing hormones and transmitters into the bloodstream. So, some heart-brain coherence. Researchers found that there is way more information going from the heart to the brain than the vagus nerve could possibly carry. So how does it get from the heart to the brain if the vagus nerve can't even cope with the amount of messages? I'll go into that a bit. Well, I think Donna's covered a lot of that. So how does it all arrive? There is also another bunch of nerves that go to the brain, and they serve as this external stimuli sensing neurons. These are your touch specifically. For instance, touching a hot pot. You want to react very quickly, or the brain needs to know very quickly so you can take your fingers off. And they alert to any dangers, etc., that can send, and I suspect a lot of the heart can utilise that as well. And there does appear to be a faster form of neuron transmission, of course, through the energetic field within the body. So it has numerous ways of getting to get the response the body needs. Right, things that can help your heart brain. Now we're all pretty much aware of it, but these are just some generalisations which we know that we can help heal our heart, help get us into the right moods to get us healthy again. And that is things like expressing joy, hugging long and with intention, singing, dancing, laughing, looking deeply into someone's eyes, smiling, doing good things with love. And also staying calm, avoiding loud, aggressive, argumentative and dramatic people, so then you're not not getting upset. Meditating, opening up to the heart, playing soft, gentle music, and avoiding loud, heavy music or violent, hurtful movies. And also to be mindful of your heart and body responses, reduce negative feelings as soon as possible, as wherever you can, however it works for you, and breathing calmly. Now that is the breath coming into it again. The slower the breath, 5 to 5.5 seconds is what to aim for, to breathe in through the nose and then breathe out. And doing that when you're feeling yourself, your emotions are getting a little bit out of whack. You just breathe in, slowly breathe out. And you can breathe out through your mouth or through your nostrils. Planning, preparing, managing your day to avoid stress, making time for yourself to chill, maybe when you get home from work, or choose and eat good food minimally, moving a lot in a graceful way. So there are things you will know, but it's nice to see them all stacked together. Okay, now then let's look at how we can integrate it a little bit. What is it that links these brains, feelings, organs to each other? How do we connect? So we'll look now into the vagus nerve, because when I discovered it, I couldn't believe what an amazing function it has. So the primary function of the vagus nerve is to be a communication highway for all your internal organs, including your heart. Your vagus nerve uses the muscles in your throat to swallow, speak, and also the nerves to taste, eating or chewing, smelling, nodding up and down, or side to side. It also coordinates your ears for listening and communicating and making facial expressions. It also has like other everything internal goes like your heart. It communicates through your vagus nerve, and it's also one of the longest nerves found on the body. I think sciatica might be a longer one, but this one is a really thick bunch of nerves. That goes everywhere, and it starts from the base of your brain, feeding into your brain, going down your neck to your lungs and heart, through your spleen, liver and all the other organs, down into your lower abdomen and digestive system. Now, the word means wandering, which is very true to what it does. It has a lot of myriad little nerves that go off from it. And this nerve, interestingly, is unique to mammals. It's only mammals that hold it this way. It's also interconnected with oxytocin networks, often called the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, including that fight or flight, rest and digest responses. It's also responsible for a stronger immune system response, and it regulates the inflammation response. It assists in communicating, empathizing, by orientating once again the gaze to connect with another person via oxytocin receptors. And it also you might understand the term, something's getting on my nerves. All these things make sense. Now, experiences such as distress can make your chest change a little, which activates your vagus nerve as well. And there's a very close relationship between the heart rate and your breathing pattern. It's called RSA, which is a respiratory sinus arrhythmia. And a lot of people may know about that condition. The more one feels compassion or caring, interestingly, the stronger the vagus nerve response is. Yet if it's more of a self-important or negative state that we become, the response is a lot weaker in the vagus nerve. So they found that a meaningful or social well-being in certain people types have been found to have high levels of activation or a very strong vagus nerve. And the feeling of common humanity, a scientific term, must be coming from the left brain, very scientific. It's called self-other similarity. And it's probably so explanatory I never remember it. So these ones are found in people who are more trusted by strangers. They're more positive on a daily basis. They have stronger relationships with their peers. And they also relate to altruism and are very pro-social people. I'll just mention Dr. Stephen Porges, who's a well-known American professor of psychiatry, psychotherapy, and also neuroscience. He's the founding director of the Traumatic Stress Research Consortium and professor of many universities in the United States. He proposed the theory of the polyvagal, linking evolution of the mammalian autonomic nervous system to social behaviour. He has written many books on the polyvagal theory, but he also calls it the love nerve in your body. It does the caretaking duty. He works with trauma sufferers and their social behaviour, where responses are adjusted through the vagus nerve. So he works with trying to help people with PTSD to improve their social behaviours. So, next thing, ways that we can strengthen our vagus nerve. Now there's actually very many YouTube channels that go into how you can activate your vagus nerve, but a lot of them are very common sense things that we can do every day, like practicing that deep breathing, exercising regularly, and having a nice massage. Who doesn't love a massage? Another one is cold water immersion. Now, this actually slows your heart rate down, directing blood to flow through to the brain and helping you to relax more. But a cold shower or ice pack could also do the same thing. So you don't actually have to go and get into a barrel of iced water. Okay. Then we have singing, humming, playing and listening to music, or even creating music. The calming sounds or vibrations that create activation of the throat area here. For instance, mantras are excellent methods to strengthen your vagus nerve, especially like the Om, because when you do the Om, you can feel the vibration in your throat, and that activates the vagus nerve. And also laughter. Of course, laughter is because you're activating the heart. In your lungs, there's a whole lot of good things that come out of that. And caring for others, of course, because it strengthens the vagus nerve, and that is working with a community response as consideration for others. So now that we've covered the vagus nerve enough, I'll just go into the Anahata heart chakra. And this is, the heart is where all intellectual understanding is synthesized into feeling. knowing versus emotion, love, compassion, peace, sensing, intuition. The heart centre is the superior way of knowing intellectual information by feeling it. People with all kinds of discordant backgrounds can be changed through love. Energy is restored and transformed, with the heart chakra being the core of our conscious awareness. When your heart chakra is balanced, you feel a deep connection with others. And falling in love, we've got to cover the falling in love. Of course, because it's like fireworks, isn't it? It creates motivation, elevated moods, ecstasy and happiness. They're all felt through the heart chakra. And the heart chakra is where all decisions are made, or should be made, should I say. If you're going to live a spiritual life, being decisive is crucial to becoming awakened. For instance, having a change of heart is when you've had a reasoning in the brain, but you've considered your heart, and your heart has told you another way of looking at it, so then you have a change of heart. If the head or even the lower chakras see or like something, it is the heart that can choose where we go and what we do in life. Many people are found to have atrophied or unbalanced hearts. In other words, are they more of a head person or are they a heart person? Research has shown that it does matter a lot. And I think just because you do a lot of thinking doesn't mean to say that you have a atrophied heart chakra. Because it very much depends, of course, on what you're considering in your daily lot. So there is a need for rhythm, and the heart is also where you reach that balance, and your relationships, where there are aspects of your heart involved in them, and therefore a need for awakening the heart chakra to enable these aspects to play its part. Now, every chakra has a gland connected to it, and in this case, of course, it was mentioned yesterday, the thymus gland is the heart chakra's gland, and it's quite fascinating too. This is another amazing little attachment to the heart, and it's located in the chest just above the heart, and this organ is part of the immune system as well as the endocrine and lymphatic systems. It produces T cells, which the T stands for thymus, and the T cells means the T lymphocytes. It's a type of white blood cell that fights germs and protects from disease. Now, the interesting part about the thymus gland is that at birth it is extremely enlarged as it's been developed in the fetus, and it is very active in the first year, but after the first year it decreases in size and activity until it is barely discernible at old age. Often after 70 it just turns to a little fatty thing, but if you can even see it. And what that does is it just, because it's produced all the white blood cells that it believes it needs for the rest of your life, then there's no need for it anymore. And I'm not the medical person to ask how long that takes and how often, but I think the first year of your life helps your body to determine what you're going to need in the way of defence. This is my thinking. So the endocrine system controls the glands in the body which relate to our chakra points, and they are responsible for the growth, reproduction, blood glucose, cholesterol and metabolism. Now there's also some lymph nodes called the mediastinal lymph nodes. They're located around the windpipe, the heart, lungs and larger vessels that lead to the heart. They filter and remove toxins and pathogens from that area. So there's a lot of things going on there that help with your heart. And I think we should go back to falling in love again. Because these feelings of ecstasy, feeling that burning in your chest, the cosmic energies that literally flowing into your heart, then stimulates your endocrine glands in your body and puts many hormones to work, filling us with that vitality and bliss. And there's the stage of what a relationship may go through, because eventually egoic issues arise, and the issues of each person may need to be worked on to lead to acceptance of each other, creating mutual respect, love and understanding, a more solid foundation than the fireworks that we had at the beginning. So we are surrounded by books, stories, movies, and all may be inclusive of our ideas of a loving relationship. They'll say things like religion and spirituality, but so many ideologies to understand what love in the heart feelings truly mean. Yet these are not actually love itself. They help us to understand how we can feel. They're just means for seeking happiness, which once again is very fleeting in terms of feeding into your brain. Therefore, those who have no spiritual direction tend to demonstrate what people expect of them, rather than fulfill their own heart's desires to be someone who loves themselves. In terms of, for instance, the rich may be good at manipulating people with love. It may not be a genuine one. I'm not saying that they're all like that, but there is an ability for rich people to know how to to achieve what they want. And also actors and actresses, they understand how to act it, and they will use that as a tool to get across their wonderful messages of love. And they do that instead of deeply feeling that emotion. Therefore, those that have no spiritual direction tend to demonstrate what they expect. On the other hand, spiritually, we still need to work continually on improving who we can potentially be by raising our vibrations. So just one more slide here. I'm going to change it to the heart chakra because that's where we're talking in terms of where the heart chakra balances everything. Because below the heart chakra we have 3 inferior chakras, and above the heart there are 3 superior chakras. The infinity symbol here links them all together as they all centre on the heart. And this is necessary, as wisdom without love is meaningless. All higher powers not utilised in the heart chakra can be very destructive. Love must be felt. The infinity symbol also relates to the blood being pumped from the body into the heart, crossing through the lungs and then being pumped out again back into the body. So as you can see, it has a physical understanding with the infinity symbol there. So through the right-left duality aspect, our consciousness presents itself in thinking, believing and action, knowing that we have our bodies having a left brain and a right brain response. So it all comes together in the heart. So conversely, duality between the upper and lower chakras is required to present us with better options for our consciousness. And you may recognise this picture. It's one that Donna covered, and this is the area where I was saying that it's more important for our energy, and a lot of the information that comes from our heart that cannot get processed through our nerves and other ways and blood, it can go out through the energetic system. And it's really important, the electro going out and magnetic being drawn back in. The heart's role is being the strongest electrical and magnetic resonator in the body. So if you're feeling in your heart, you're actually changing the electrical and magnetic waves in your surroundings. It's changing everything around you to align with your energy. And that's why it's actually easier to feel your way into a solution, to feel your way into healing, to feel your way into your heart's desire. And it's called, another left brain term, quantum heart-based engineering. And just a little tale here it's sort of related, and it refers to Greg Braden. He's very much into this. He explained that he had a friend. He's a Native American Indian born. He's called David, but that's not his real name. There was a drought in, I think it was New Mexico or somewhere, and he asked Greg if he would like to join him on a rain dance ceremony, and of course he was very interested, so he went with him. So he took him to a very sacred site of where he comes from, and he took his shoes off, took off his jacket, and he just sat there for a moment in the circle, and he just focused for a minute. After a little while, suddenly he had this huge feeling of joy, and his legs were going everywhere, his arms were flying everywhere, and he had this crazy happy look on his face, and it probably lasted 5 or 10 minutes. And then after that, he just came back, picked his shoes up, put them on, and put on his jacket and said, "We can go now." And so it was either that night or the next morning, and it actually poured down. Absolutely, literally poured and poured and poured, and to the point it was actually starting to flood, and went the opposite way. So Greg said to him, "How do you turn it off?" And he said, "Well, actually, we never really figured that out." But I'm assuming that would be done through the same thought process. You're sending out the energy out into the universe, and the universe responds. So it's once again putting what we already know. We're now looking at compassion, because compassion is the one thing that the Dalai Lama was asked, what is the one thing that you would say is the thing that would help us most? And of course the answer was compassion. So when we look at compassion, we're looking at our self-compassion. We need to look after ourselves, and compassion for others. Also noticing and feeling and responding to what's needed. There is a personal, social and global response for compassion. And Eckhart Tolle had a lovely way of expressing it. He said, when the mind subsides, presence arises. When this happens, you look upon others, no longer feeling absolute separateness between you. There is an outflow of goodwill, loving kindness, benevolence towards another human being. It's quite lovely. And of course there's Satchitananda, the Sanskrit for the ultimate state of perfect being. The great compassion. This compassion seeks to gather all living beings into itself through unconditional love. The awakened heart of the Buddha, the real heart of Buddhism, is a complete commitment to others. The Dalai Lama describes the awakened heart of the Buddha as the vow to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Lama Surya Das says, that the Buddhic or Buddhist heart is awakened through meaningful connection with others. The Dharma heart. The Dharma of the heart, according to the voice of the silence, is the embodiment of Buddhi, the permanent and everlasting. And this is seen as the secret heart, learning to discern the real from the false, the ever-fleeting from the everlasting. This relates to looking within for what you seek, rather than learning from exterior sources. And most of what we learn comes from our worldly experiences, yet within us lies a truth that transcends time and space. This will ultimately, in our growth, make us have to choose a path that will take us from our head learning to soul wisdom, and that which is within the heart mind. Only the heart has the capacity to reach the level of divine purpose. It is in the heart that there is sincerity, never in the mind. And just coming to the end, there is a longing to be with another perfect soul, and that's within us all. We all seek to find someone that will be be with us. But this really comes from our own inner desire to seek a union with our greater self. So it's our way of climbing and finding the way to who we truly are, and finding it as a signpost you're on the right way. Recognising that we have connections with and throughout all things, that everyone is an expression of you, an extension of you. There is so much joy in this, and life-affirming energy, feeling that nothing is separate from you, and that you are part of a much larger intelligence working through you. And from this, we get the understanding that your consciousness is not in the body is in consciousness. It's much greater, it includes everything, goes out cosmically. And so is everything else, it's all within consciousness. And then love is the recognition of oneness in a world of duality. So I hope I've helped you understand how and when we become connected to our world and higher ideals using the heart-based feelings, we can see that the term physician, heal thyself, truly does become a realistic possibility. We can work our way towards healing. I'll just finish with this slide. It's my own little summation of how I see it working within us. And we do need to commit ourselves to all sentient beings, not just other people. Someone was talking about, Renee was talking about the butterfly, not the moth, saving the moth in the shower. So we've got, that's the feeling that if we can do it, it's a great connection to the feeling of everything around us. And also we do need to consult the brain for the reasoning, the practicality, and we need to trust the gut, what the gut is telling us. But most of all, we need to follow your heart. You follow your heart, but then you also have to connect to the universal source. And to me that seems like the final option is to, once you've felt it in your heart, to express it outwards. Now, I could just give you one more quotation. It's fragment 3 from the 7 portals of the voice of the silence. And there's a lot of deep meaning in here. And it is, hast thou attuned thy heart and mind to the great mind and heart of all mankind? For As the sacred river's roaring voice, whereby all nature sounds are echoed back, so must the heart of him who is in that stream would enter, thrill in the response to every sigh and thought of all that lives and breathes. So thank you. That's